October 7th, 1996. Isaac Silberberg, Tape 3. You were telling us that you got sick at Auschwitz.
As I was telling you, and I got high fever, and I could not stand, I could not sit, and I realized that when I looked at my body, that I started to get a red rash. So I realized must be something serious. It's not just a little cold. So I went to the barrack doctor, and I told him I want something. I have fever. I want something if he can help me. So he opened my shirt and saw how red my body was. He said to me, "I'm sorry, but I have to take you to the hospital. I cannot keep you on this barrack." He didn't want to tell me what I have. And he took me over to the camp. In the camp was one barrack. This was the barrack of the hospital for the whole camp. And they had a rule in this hospital. Every week they used to bring a truck, take all the sick people and take them to the crematoriums. And when he took me in there, he took me to the doctor, which I realized later that he was a Jew from Czechoslovakia, because I heard him also speaking Czechish. And he looked at me, looked in my eyes, and he took me by my hand, put me in a room, and told me, "You don't call me. I'll bring you water. You stay here. Don't knock on the door. Don't do nothing. Just lay here on the bunk, and I'll supply you what you need." And this is how it was. He gave me a bunk. He covered me up, gave me water, enough water near the bed. So he told me, "Drink enough water." And I was there for 2-3 days. I had such high fever, I didn't know what happened. But then the third day, I started to realize all my body was red. I was red like a tomato. And I started to change my skin. The skin started peeling. And he brought me every morning, the doctor brought me water, and in the evening soup. And this is the way I was there for about 8 days. When he looked at my body, it was peeled completely clean. He took me out on the hall, he took me to the back door, he let me out and told me, "Go to the gate, get out, and go back to your barrack." This is how I passed. But before before he released me, I saw he had in his hand he had a paper. So I just wanted to see. I looked in the paper. Instead of scarlet fever, scarlatina, he put in angina. I was reading that he marked on the paper angina, which is like a sore throat in Polish. So I came back to my barrack, and I still was studying about, I was weak, but I was studying to be a builder. They taught us like 8 hours a day how to build walls, how to make them straight, how to put in windows with those blocks, with the little red blocks. And I was starting to go again in the evenings to see my uncle. And at this time I was very, very weak, and I needed more food to be able to recoup after this sickness. And 2 weeks later, when I came to see my uncle, I saw an awful picture. My uncle was lying on his bunk like a sack of bones, bloody, all broken down. So I asked him, "Mayor, what's happened?" So he told me the story. A day before, he was going back with his wagon with coal, and he had 2 loaves of bread, and he knew that his sister-in-law, his wife's sister, was in the women's camp there, and she knew that he's traveling through this road. So she used to wait also there. He used to help her also. He used to throw her through the fence bread. So he threw her bread, and a German officer, saw him from far away with a motorcycle. He saw him that he's throwing something. He didn't know what. So he followed him, and he got him, and they took him to the office of the camp, and he told them that he had a bread and he threw it to his relative. And for this, they punished him. They gave him 40 lashes on his back. They broke 3 sticks, 3 canes. They broke. He was completely destroyed. His body, his behind, his legs completely destroyed. And he was lying there, and I used to come to visit him every night and try to help him out. Then a week later, the Russians started to come already close to Auschwitz. So they took us out, and they said that we are ready to build already houses. So they send us from Auschwitz. They send us on a train to Sachsenhausen. We were there in a quarantine for about 2 weeks, and then they sent us to Liberose.
Why were you under quarantine?
Because when they switched people from one camp to another, to make sure that they didn't bring any kind of bugs with them, they used to put them like in a separate room, not to let them out, and not to mingle with the other people from the camp. After this period of quarantine, we were sent to Liberose, which is about 100 miles east of Berlin. And there they were building, it was a camp, but they were also building a new city for all those refugees. And it was the winter of 44, 45. It was a tremendous cold winter then. But we were in a good shape because we came from this Auschwitz I camp, which we had enough food, and this gave us the opportunity to resist. The people in the camp were in a bad shape. They almost couldn't walk every day to work in the snow. They were falling. And as a matter of fact, in this camp, Liberose, I met my uncle from Lodz that we used to live with him the first 2 years.
In the ghetto?
In the ghetto. I met him there, but he was almost finished. He was so weak and skinny that he could not walk anymore. And after we were there for about a month, the Russian army started coming closer, so they took us out on a march. We marched back from Liberose to Sachsenhausen, but they didn't have enough trains to put us on, so we were marching. And the ones that couldn't march, like my uncle, they used to shot him. Anybody who lagged, he couldn't go in the rim that we were going. They shot him and left him on the side of the road. So this is in this camp, I knew that this uncle is not going to make it. And I was very much worried about the uncle in Auschwitz. After I saw him that he had his bones and his skin broken, I didn't realize. I figured he must have perished. But fortunately, after the war I met him, he survived. But going back to my story, we walked back, and a lot of the people did not make it. I would say a big part of the people that went on this march, because we did not have food and we had to run with the Germans. They had power. They could go faster than we could. Nevertheless, a small group of us made it. We went back to Sachsenhausen. Then we were sent again to Mauthausen. And then they sent us to Linz. They took people because the Allies used to come every morning and bomb the rail station in Linz. And they took us in the evening at night to fix. So we were a few thousand those prisoners. We were working at night and fixing those rails that during the day the Allies used to bomb them. And this was going on for a month. After also it looks like it was already close by the Allied forces. They took us, or they stopped bombing them, so they took us from Linz to a camp in Austria, which is Ebensee, in the mountains. There the Germans were building stalls, big holes in the mountains. So they used to, every day, the engineers used to explode part of inside of the rock, and we had to haul it out and spread it, because they didn't want the Allied forces to see from the air. It was like in the woods. The entry was in woods, and we went into the mountains inside. In this we were working. They used to take us out from Ebensee like 7 o'clock in the morning. It was still dark, and we used to go back to the barracks 7 o'clock at night. So we didn't see daylight there. And in Ebensee was a camp that we got only in the morning. We got a piece of bread in a dirty cup of water. They called it coffee, but it wasn't coffee because it was too expensive to give us coffee. It was like a dark water. This we used to get for the whole day. And for this, we had to work from the morning till the evening and go back and wait till next day till we're going to get another piece of bread. The piece of bread consisted of a slice, black piece of bread. So people couldn't resist there more than 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I was sent in there in the beginning of March, and I was there March, in April, and by the end of April I was already so weak and so skinny that was nothing left of me. And every day I was thinking, quarreling with myself. Should I throw myself in between the dead bodies and make myself like that? Because I could not resist anymore this march, going down the hill in the morning and going up the hill in the evening. A week before the end of April, they sent in a transport, and there was 2 brothers, and they saw that I cannot walk anymore. Instead of carrying up dead bodies, they told me, you know what, make yourself that we carry you. And they helped me out. They used to hold my 2 hands, one brother in one hand, one brother in the other hand. And they used to help me out in the evening to walk up those hills. This was going on for a week, and this was the end of April. In May 1st, we did not go to work, and all of a sudden it spread in the camp a rumor that the Allied forces are already nearby. And then another rumor spread in the camp that the German, that the Gestapo want to put us in the mountain, in those holes, and explode the mountain, explode the entry to keep us there, so it wouldn't be a trace that there was a camp here. So in the capos start telling us, resist going to the, if they want to take you to the mountain, don't go. They explained that the reason is that the Germans want to hide. They don't want to show how do we look, so this way they will kill us all out. They figure it's complete. The case is closed. So they're not going to open mountains and look for buried bodies. Meantime, in the night of May 2nd, the high officials, the German officials, the big officers start to run away. It looks like they also felt already that the end is coming, because we heard already gunshots in big guns. We heard at night noises. By May 3rd, a lot of the watchmen of the camp left already. They used to, middle of the night, they used to pick up trucks and run away. We came out in the morning. We saw there was very few, and in the fort at night, they disappeared. We woke up in the morning in the 5th of May, and there was no German guards. In about 9 o'clock in the morning, we saw an American tank coming into the gate. The gate was still closed. People were afraid. They didn't want to go to the gate because they figured maybe the Germans are still lying behind their booths there waiting. If somebody's going to go out, is going to get shot. So nobody dared to open the gates. But when we saw the American tank coming on the road to the gate, then it started an explosion. Everybody ran to the gate, and we were liberated May 5th, 1945. This is how I survived. I must have weighed, my weight must have been 60 or 70 pounds, because I didn't have any only skin and bones. But I had enough brain when we were liberated, and they took us out. Some of the prisoners escaped. The Russian prisoners were run away, and they started running toward Russia. The Polish prisoners started. I didn't know where to run. I didn't know if I will run where, even if I get to lodge, what I'm going to find there. I didn't know if my family or the parents or brothers survived. So I was sitting there and waiting. I figured, well, maybe I'll hear something. Maybe I start asking the survivors, did you see my family? Did you hear? In the meantime, the Red Cross came and started to feed us. And some of my colleagues were so anxious, they were so hungry, they used to go around to the Germans there and ask for food, and they used to eat. And I decided that it's not a good idea to eat too much when you are skinny like this and you didn't eat for the last 6 months. It may hurt you. And thank God I remember that a friend of mine that we were together sleeping in the same bed, he couldn't hold to himself, that he started to eat so much that he started to get diarrhea, and he passed away. After a few days, they couldn't help him. The doctors couldn't help him. And I remember that after 2 weeks, that I recuperated a little bit already because we're starting to get food from the Red Cross in the international, the UNRWA, I think, came and they provided with packages with food. After 2 weeks I went to town and I was walking. I saw a jeep with a Mogen David. So I stopped looking. I started staring on the two soldiers. I'm Mogen David, the jeep. It was for me something. And they looked at me and they asked me, "Are you Jewish? Are you a Yehudi?" So I told them yes. So I heard that they're talking Hebrew, and I understood Hebrew because I went to Cheder, and something I had in my brain still left something. I heard the way they're talking, so I told them that I understand Hebrew. So we start talking. So we start talking Hebrew, Yiddish, a mixture of international language. So they asked me if there is more youngsters like me there. I was then 15 years old, 15 and a half years old. So I told them there was a few. There was about 10 or 15 youngsters in the camp. So they told me, tell you young friend there that we will come back, we will pick you up in a week. Tell them to be ready, that we will pick you up. So I said, what are you going to do with us? So they told us, we're going to take you to Israel. And this is where it's happened. I ran back to the camp, and any youngster that I saw, I told him, hey, listen, I told him this story, and I told him, listen, next week, stay here because they're going to come, they're going to pick us up, they're going to take us to Israel. And it happened exactly the same in a week. They came with a jeep, with a truck. They picked up me and a few kids from this camp and the other camps that was around there. We were about, they picked up about 70, 80 kids from around all those camps. They put us in trucks, and then they brought from further on another truck. They had a convoy of 3 trucks with kids, and they took us out of Austria. They smuggled us out from Austria through the mountains there to Italy. They had a perfect organization. They knew exactly how many miles the trucks we can make a day. When they went through the border, they closed us up. They closed the trucks, so we didn't make noise, we didn't talk, till we crossed the border. Then when we crossed the border, we were safe. They opened up the trucks, and we used to come like every evening. We used to come to a camp where the Israeli Legion had a base. Then they used to feed us in the evening. We slept over, and they took us the next day again, till we went to the end of Italy, to a place where they called it Santa Maria. In this place, they had already madrichim from Israel, and they organized us in groups. It was a group, youngsters and older, and this and this. And we were there about 2 months. June, July, August. 3 months we went there. In September 1945, we were the second ship that came to Israel legal. Became 300 kids in about 500. It was 250 couples, pregnant women. They had the Jewish government had 800 800 certificates that they didn't use during the war years, so they had it left over. So the British allowed them to bring in 800 legal Jews. So I was in between this boat that came into Israel in September '45, the kids, and plus couples that the women were already in pregnant in 4th and 5th month. This way, they use it to bring in a pregnant woman, and she's going to have the baby there. And sure enough, when we came to Israel, the whole city Haifa came out to see us. It was because the first boat came from Romania, where they were not in the camps. Actually, we were the first boat that came to Israel that survived the camps. So the whole city came to greet us, and everybody started to ask, questions. Did you know my family? Did you see my family? Unfortunately, who could know? As so many people perished. And they took us out after all the formalities. They separated us in groups, and we were sent in, a group of youngsters. We were sent into a school in Magdiel, and it was the center of the country, and it was an agriculture school. That we had both. We had a half a day studies and a half a day we had work. We worked in the agriculture, it was like a kibbutz. In there we had a good time. We got educated. They tried, the teachers did their best to take out from us all this suffering from the last 5 years, and I think I give them credit. They did a good job. All the kids that we went to the school came out good people, good men, and good Jews.
All right, we'll stop here. Thank you.